The Gurkha Welfare Trust spends more than £4 million every year helping thousands of veterans in Nepal who don't qualify for a service pension. It offers financial support through its own welfare pension scheme and has set up the country's first and only residential home for the most frail and needy. In the second of our special reports, our reporter Carla Prater travelled to Western Nepal to meet some of the veterans who depend on the charity's help.
Chimbahadur
often talks about his time in the army, about weeks surrounded by enemy forces in Italy during the Second World War, about the friends he lost in the fight. He's 94 years old and one of more than 8,000 welfare pensioners living in Nepal. He served with the 1st Battalion, 9 Gurkha Rifles, for 7 years and lives with his third wife in Taladi village in western Nepal. He's frail and vulnerable, his house doesn't have any electricity and he's too weak to work on his farm or to make it down the steep hills in his village. He relies on his welfare pension, a £40 a month payment from the Gurkha Welfare Scheme, and says without it he wouldn't survive.
My welfare pension is vital. Like everyone, I could do with more. I'm old and frail and I can't do anything. I served for 7 years with a brigade of Gurkhas. Many of my colleagues died and I was lucky to survive.
The Gurkha Welfare Scheme spends more than £4 million a year supporting former servicemen and their widows, looking after those who do not qualify for an army pension, who would otherwise have nothing. Chimbahadur relies on his wife's help, but there are many veterans whose families have moved further afield for work or have no one to count on at all. The Gurkha Welfare Scheme has stepped in to help. Since 2010, they've been running Nepal's first ever residential home at Kaski near Pokhara. There's nothing quite like it anywhere in the country. It's home to 26 welfare pensioners or their widows, some of the most vulnerable. Residential care is simply unheard of in Nepal. Normally the elderly stay in their villages and they can often end up alone, far from the medical care that they need. But here at Kaski, Gurkha veterans and their widows can get the help and comfort they need in their final years. Everyone here is over 75 years old. The oldest is 94. This is not a nursing home. There isn't the means to support those with a serious illness or mental health issue, but there's plenty of help at hand.
It is very difficult to live in village, so when they come here, it is very relief for their dignity. Initially, when they arrive here, they are quite scared because they are not knowing each other. But after a few days, few months, they will be coming as part of family.
Every resident has their own room and they're fully catered for. They pay 40% of their welfare pension towards their accommodation.
This is my sleeping bed.
Manbahadur Rai is one of the residents who served in the brigade of Gurkhas for 12 years. He came here because no one in his family could support him.
I get regular meals and the accommodation is good. I didn't think a place like this existed. I like to have tea at 6 every morning and here it's made for me. It's great.
More than half of all welfare pensioners are over 75. This summer, a second residential home is due to open in Dharan in eastern Nepal to cater for the demand in care. Many former servicemen struggle, but the trust is making a difference. And those that live here can see the benefits. They've been given peace of mind and some would say a spring in their step so they can spend their final years in peace. Carla Prater, Forces News at Kaski in Nepal.